everybody? This is Kyle here at All Dogs Off-Road, and today I got my hands on the NISMO roof rack for the D40 platform, and we will be doing a step-by-step install on what to do. You have to bolt it together, which isn't a big deal. It is standard hardware. It looks like most of it is 1/2-inch hardware. So tools you'll be needing will be it's a 5/32 Allen key, and then a 7/16 ratchet and wrench. And then I also have a 1/4x20 tap, just in case some of the holes are plugged or got a little bit of powder coat still left in them. I have heard from people with the 3rd gens that needs to be touched up. And one other quick note, just before I installed it, I had to file down these holes so I could get the bolts through. Otherwise, it's ready to go and we will get to building it. So the reason I chose this rack was because it's a no drill rack. It clamps onto the top of the truck actually. And being here in Nebraska, I didn't want to drill holes just in case with just winter and salt and grime. So these pieces, actually, this bolts to the rack, and then this will slide over and it'll clamp to the top. One thing I did, just because of the possibility of paint coming off, since these do not have any kind of padding on the bottom and they're just straight metal, was I ran to Home Depot and actually got some toolbox liner and some adhesive spray and put it on here just to kind of mitigate paint wear. But other than that, we'll get to putting it on. So the first step actually on this is pretty straightforward. You have to bolt the front piece to the 2 side pieces. It looks like it requires a flat washer, lock washer, and then one of these 3/4-inch bolts. You just need 4 of them, 2 for each side, and you start there. So real quick, just off doing the front pieces there, I'm just going to go in and clean these holes up just to double check and make sure the bolts will go in easy and carefree. Not really in the mood to fight bolts and strip stuff. So do this real quick and then we'll throw everything else in. Step 2 takes 3 of these 3/4-inch hex head bolts, and they drop in the bracket or in the crossbar here and slide in, and then they bolt to, there's 3 tabs on the front bracket on the back side that it appears that these go into, and they bolt together just for stability. Your light will also mount to this, and then your side bolts will be, there's a separate bag I should say, that has a bunch of these 1-inch bolts that have washers already installed, and these are what will be used to hold the crossbars to the side brackets. After a little bit of an adventure, we finally got everything lined up and in. This front bracket crossbar, a little bit of a pain in the butt to get the bolts lined up and get the bolts into the front brackets so you can come closer and see what we're talking about here now, but just a little bit of a fight. Let's hope it all doesn't go like this. So after getting the front bar on, which is a bit of a hassle, all the rest you have to do is just put the crossbars in with just your crossbars and the bolts that are supplied with the washer and nut, and go from there. I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go through and double check these and tap them. But other than that, we'll get back to you when it's time to put the brackets on for mounting. So I highly advise buying a 1/4x20 tap for these. I initially tried running the bolts in as they were, and I ended up having to tap every single one of them just to get them to seat correctly. So if you don't have one and you're installing this, I would highly recommend going to get one. But now that those are done, all we got to do is bolt the crossbars in, and we will then put the mounts on. When it comes to the brackets for the roof, there is a front and a back on both the bracket that clamps to the truck and also the brackets that hold to the roof rack. On top of that, with this bracket that attaches to the roof rack, it is angled, so you'll have to figure out which side. So this is going to be a passenger front because the angle goes forward, and then the back one appears to be angled less, if you can tell. And this will be the driver's side rear. But as you put them on, you'll figure it out. Instructions tell you which bolts to use, and we will go from there. So now that we got the brackets ready, you actually mount the brackets on the truck before you put the rack on top of it. So this front rack says to measure 8 inches from your window is where this one should start. So you measure that out. And then I'm just gonna hand tighten everything right now. Obviously there's no point in getting super crazy with it, but hand tighten that on. And then for the back bracket, you measure 40 inches from this to the back, and it should roughly end up about right here, I think. So also a piece of advice, make sure you have a towel up here. That way you protect the roof from just random stuff. And then also when you put your roof rack up here, if you want to test fit it or do whatever beforehand, just to save the paint a little bit. So to measure where this goes, you actually measure from the front of the front bracket, and then it goes back. And I think I'm good to go. I'm going to double check, but I think it's right where it needs to be. Nope, it needs to go back farther. There's no way. They want it from the front to the... It's like way back here. Right there, I guess. Okay. Ish, I'm gonna shut the door. I think that's actually where it goes. Yep. So we got the brackets on. Make sure that you tighten them up. You can always test fit as you go, but they are slotted front to back. So the adjustment's there if you need. But now all we got to do is drop the bolts. Comes with 8 of these. There's 2 per bracket. So you drop two of these, 2 in this front bar, and then 2 in the second to last bar on each side. And then there's supplied washers and nuts. And at that point, just slide it on the truck and tighten it down, and you're good to go. So, new day, new attire, dirty attire, working on a prototype parts that you'll see a video for here soon. But roof rack is on. If you watch the time lapse, see we fought with the mounting brackets quite a bit. It actually got to the point where it was after 5, so we gave up, and I actually talked to Paul at NISMO, and he gave us some pointers on the brackets, and they seem to be fitting better. So it's as good as I need it for now, so we'll go with that. But the one thing you definitely will need is a 1/4x20 tap to finish the holes on all the crossbars. That was a super common issue across the board with all of them. So you need that, and then be very careful putting the roof rack up there with the brackets. I did end up scratching my truck a little bit when we were putting them on. Not a big deal, as my paint's already kind of beat up from wheeling. But if you are one of those that cares about your paint, then be prepared to take extra caution when you're putting those on. So yeah. As for wind noise, I did get to drive it. It's been 2 days since we first started doing the install. Around town driving up to like 45 mile an hour, unless it's windy, you don't hear it. And then at around 60 mile an hour, that's the fastest I've had it so far. It is there. You can hear it. It's not excessive or anything though. I do plan on possibly adding a diode SS5 light bar up top, and I've also heard that that adds to wind noise. So it is what it is. As for the truck, like the tires make noise, my roof rack makes, or my rooftop tent makes noise. So it's just something I'm used to. Other than that, rack looks great. Can't wait to get a light bar in it. And at most, all I'm going to be doing is adding solar panels to the top. So I'm not super concerned about weight capacity on it, but definitely do check with Nissan or the instructions, or even contact NISMO to see what the weight limits are on it, because I don't know those off the top of my head. But yeah, so that's the NISMO rack, the install, review of it, and we will be back here soon with prototype install of some springs on a F-150 actually, since we're moving into the half-ton market. We'll see you later. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and keep a lookout for other parts we got coming out. Thanks.